When this issue was first put to me, the idea of a new offence, I started from a position of scepticism. We all know that there are far too many cases in history where governments wanting to be seen to be doing something say, oh, we'll have a new law, we'll create a new offence. However, when I looked at the evidence, saw the extensive briefings and the extensive data assembled by campaigning groups and NGOs, I found that there is very clearly a case, there is a specific set of behaviour that constitute an offence. And the case is made very clearly that non-fatal strangulation and suffocation is not generally a failed attempt to kill, but rather a deliberate attempt to control, to exert power. And the fact that the law currently has no real proper way of dealing with this, the fact that there's little visible injury in many cases means that at best it may appear as a charge of common assault. And many others have pointed out how inadequate that is. I think it's also worth pointing out that that means there's a 6-month limit for charges being brought, which of course we know that sometimes, very often, domestic abuse is only disclosed after a large number of incidents have actually occurred. And it also means that as a summary offence in the magistrate's court, it doesn't get the level of attention and resources that this proposed new offence would attract with the charges. I think the other point which really has not yet been made that should be made is that I very much, in terms of law and indeed more general government policy, don't believe in reinventing the wheel. And we can look around the world to see other places that have been leading on this. Reference has been made by the Noble Baroness Lady Crawley to the 37 US states that already have comparable laws. Most Australian states do. And the real leader in this has been New Zealand. And I note that this started with the Aotearoa New Zealand Law Commission 2016 report, which in December 2018 led to their introduction of a new law. Now, I would imagine the Noble and Learned Lord the Minister is well aware of the recent report from the Chief Victims Advisor to the New Zealand Government, reporting to the Centre for Women's Justice, which notes that there were, in the first year in New Zealand after the offence was brought in, 2,000 charges, most occurring in a domestic violence context. Now, the calculation has been made that comparing our populations, that means in the first year, we could see 26,400 charges in the UK. Now, of course, no two countries are exactly comparable, but I think that rough comparison tells you that if we delay introducing this charge, there will be thousands and thousands of women who won't have the protection of the law, who should have the protection of the law, who could have the protection of the law if it's included in this bill. So, my lords, it is very good to hear that the government is listening on this issue. But really, I think the case for action now is overwhelming. So I commend particularly Amendment 137